right. Thank you very much for doing this with me today. I'm really excited.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for inviting me. It's good to
How
see
are
you.
you? How's your family?
I'm quite good. My family too.
So you get to stay with your family?
No, I'm staying in my apartment. I live
Okay.
alone, so
Oh,
it's okay. It's okay.
all right.
We're still hanging in there, and
Okay.
luckily we have guitars and music and
That's
all
right.
that stuff.
Okay. You
That's
video
okay.
chat with your family and you call them often?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And you in Germany now?
I'm in Dresden, Germany. Yeah.
Okay. You're German?
Yes.
It's Zunk, right? Am I pronouncing it
Sönke.
right?
Almost.
Oh,
Sönke.
Zunka.
Yes, that's very good.
Zunka. Okay. Zunka. Yeah.
How do I pronounce your name actually?
Gosuke.
Gosuke. Gosuke.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get used to it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
Just
was asking Okapi how to pronounce your name because I wasn't sure.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Also, Okapi does it quite well, but he also needs.
So my channel is it's like specialized in acoustic
Mhm.
and finger style and solo acoustic. So you'll be the great guest today.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
So for people watching this, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe starting from your musical background.
Okay, I can try to make it short,
You don't
but
have to.
I started when I was 8, I think, to get guitar lessons. Like before, my dad had 2 guitars at home, so I just fooling around with them. And then I got lessons with a very good teacher near my hometown, and he was
Okay.
mainly a classical player,
Mhm.
but he was very open to all kinds of different styles of music, and that was very helpful, I think. So sometimes he showed me some jazz chords, and sometimes he showed me some whatever, like scales, and sometimes we even played mandolin and played some Irish
Oh,
folk, and it was just like all kinds of different directions, and it was very, very nice. And I stayed with him for 8 years, I think, and
wow.
that was quite a long time.
So were
And
you like classically trained mainly?
yes, basically,
Yeah.
mostly, I would say,
Yeah.
mostly classical. But sometimes he threw in some fingerstyle-ish pieces already. So I knew a little bit about that world. But then, like when he stopped teaching me, it was at a point where he moved away and he couldn't teach me anymore.
Oh,
But before he moved away, we went together to see a Tommy Emmanuel concert.
wow.
So we saw Tommy, and
Yeah.
it was like, I mean, how old was I? I was maybe 16 or something.
Oh,
So
lucky you.
for a 16-year-old who was like just focused on mostly classical, it was of course like mind blowing, because I didn't know that
Yeah.
there was something like that possible, that a person on stage is like entertaining so many people, and it doesn't need much more than
Mm.
just him. And so that was very impressive. And
Yeah.
after that, so my teacher made sure that I will continue by myself with taking me to this concert, because then I was like infected, and I
Yeah.
copied Tommy like for
Yeah.
1 year or something,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was obsessed.
His plan worked.
His plan worked very well, yeah. But the problem was that after that, I sounded like a bad copy of Tommy, and that made no sense at all. But
Yeah.
still, I was like very motivated. And a little bit later, I met a guy who later became my teacher at the university, and he told me about this university here in Dresden,
Mm.
where when you study guitar, you don't have to focus only on classical or only on jazz guitar. Like the first 2 years are more or less classical, to make sure you have all the technical knowledge, and you know about the tradition. But then on top, it's all about creativity and finding your own voice and composing and arranging and improvising and all
Right.
that.
Right.
And so that was, for me, hearing about this was like the moment where I started thinking about, oh, maybe this is an option for me to do this professionally. Then I started studying here, and that like changed everything, because I had like these 2 backgrounds: the fingerstyle stuff I taught myself,
Yeah.
and the classical background.
Yeah.
So these 2 backgrounds came together very well. But also I saw like a lot of other students from other countries bringing their own backgrounds. So there were even more influences, and it was like this big pool of inspiration that changed my way of playing and made it, I think, a lot more personal. And it like more and more I felt like, oh, this is me, maybe.
How old were you back then?
Just before studying. I was very, after school I was not sure at all. It was a big risk, and also I'm quite interested in other things like architecture, and there were some options. At some point I thought, okay, if I don't try it, it makes no sense. I should at least try it. And then when I started studying and I felt like really home in this community of guitar players, I decided, okay, it was a good decision, but it was very important for me to at least try it. But I needed like 2 years after school to actually decide to really do it. Like the first year after school, I still had to do a year of work as a replacement for going to the military. I took another year working in a photo archive, like just sorting old photographs and making like something totally different.
Who were you working for then?
It's very hard to explain in English, I think. Like one of my hobbies, I would say, I'm quite interested because I come from the northwest of Germany and it's very close to Holland also. We have a lot of old windmills. Do you know? Windmills? Yeah. So it was like a society that makes sure to like these old windmills that are not actually used anymore because we have electricity and bigger machines and everything, that they don't disappear, and that they are museums, and there's this society. And I worked for them, and it was like this big collection, like documenting in which places you found windmills and what they did, and like when they disappeared, and like all that kind of stuff. Nothing with music, but I'm quite interested in that as well. Like windmills is a strange hobby to have, but I have it like I was 2 or 3, I think. I get crazy when I see windmills. It's like, it's a bit funny for them. And, yeah. You see like a lot of folders there.
Wow.
Do you see?
Yeah, I do.
It's like a lot of old that's all full of my own collection, full of old photographs and maps and postcards, all related to windmills. It's like tens of thousands of them. It's crazy.
You still keep it?
I'm keeping it. It's I grew up in quite a small village, so I never really had people to play together with. I only had like my teacher, and that was it. And otherwise, I played alone. So
me, I didn't have any teacher, so I had I had to go for my friend's brother who plays guitar, and he was in a band, and he was playing some old Japanese pop songs back then. And I got to learn from him how to play chords and stuff, and that's how I got started. So I didn't have any music teacher, and we didn't have YouTube, of course, back then. So
sure.
Not much options to learn.
Yeah, but it's also great to still be in the generation remembers the time before YouTube.
Right.
So it was a different.
I borrowed my friend's bass for a year. That's how I got started. And that was a bass, but I thought that was a guitar. And I believed that was an electric guitar, and I didn't know the difference between bass and the guitar.
Wow. Wow, nice. But that's cool.
That's how I got started. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a cool story.
So I see you play both steel strings and nylon strings, and
yes.
What are they to you? Well, you mainly play that nylon strings?
Right now, yes. Actually, now that I have no concerts and more time to be creative again, I actually wrote a few new steel string things after I saw this Tommy Emmanuel concert, and I got into fingerstyle. It was more about copying the fingerstyle players to get to know what they're doing and figuring things out. So like then mostly Tommy and the people around. I went to a Tommy Emmanuel festival 3 times, I think, where like all the Nashville players were like Richard Smith, and I saw Petteri Sariola. So I saw like there's something like tapping and percussive playing as well. And I tried to, of course, also like the people who were like and the first on YouTube, like the first Candy Red players that got like all these big amounts of views, and like Andy McKee and Don Ross, and so I also learned some pieces by them, but it was all steel string, and it was like I still like didn't have any goal to become a professional, so I just copied, and I learned what I tried to understand what they were doing. I always tried to compose.
What songs did you copy then? That's quite interesting. What?
Oh, okay. So long ago, actually. I remember from Tommy, I tried probably almost every song.
Wow.
I don't know which one I didn't.
You completed
all the class. No, not at all.
No? Okay. Good to hear.
Yeah. I love to play these up-tempo boom chick pieces, which now I got so tired of, to be honest. But back then I was like, maybe Train to Düsseldorf. It's like a very very fast one from Tommy. I love to play that one.
Yeah.
And then there were also like Man with the Green Thumb I like to play, and I had a few ballads, of course, as well, like Since We Met, like all the old things that have massive amount of YouTube views. I copied.
You were playing steel strings with thumbpick?
Also, yes, I also used the thumbpick. So it was on only steel string. But like before, I had this classical background, but my classical guitar was like not used at all anymore in that time. But then when I started studying, and I understood that it's not enough to copy people. You have to find your own voice to make it in the business. And it's also not only about the business, but it's just way more exciting to write yourself and create your own voice on the guitar.
Right.
And then I noticed that I have to get away from this steel string fingerstyle cliches as soon as possible, because I got really stuck a little bit regarding my creativity, because when I composed in that time, all my pieces also sounded like all the players I was copying. There was like not really, I was only like a bad version of them, but I was not me yet.
Yeah. That's why I am.
So I got more back to the nylon again, and when I started combining this classical approach with the fingerstyle things I learned, and then I got better and better in composing something, it got more and more unique, and I was like really focused on the nylon string, because I think this is sort of special, because there are not so many players who play non-classical music on a classical guitar and still have a little bit this fingerstyle approach, and I saw like an opportunity there, so I went back to the nylon pieces. I have, like most concerts, I play only with the nylon string, but I think right now I'm working also like on new songs for a new album, and I also want a few steel string things on there. It could be that after maybe next year or something, I will just have both on stage.
Okay. So